Hello everyone and welcome back to another YouTube video on my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Seo Jiwoo and specifically how to build her, what are her best teams, and what are the best skill level priorities, the best main and substats to choose, and some final thoughts. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Now Seo Jiwoo is a SSR unit, water SSR unit. Now she's effectively a tank, but she's definitely one of a must-have characters if you're trying to beat the one of the probably most hated opponents in the entire game, the Cerberus. So she's actually one of the must-have units, literally, in order to beat him in a modest fashion. Let's say it like that, right? There are ways of beating him even at higher tiers with only SR units. Probably gonna be making a video on how to beat him as well at tier 9 or 8 with only SR units, but that's a whole nother topic. As soon as I finish tier 10, I will be making a full guide on how to beat him as well. Now, when it comes to artifact sets, there are effectively two sets which you can choose from, right? But the best set arguably for her is definitely the solid analysis. The solid analysis set will give her a 2-piece that the damage dealt to enemies in the break state increases by 15%, and the 4-piece set effect will be when attacking the weakness attribute increases break effect by 30%. So effectively, when you find someone like Cerberus and he has the elemental weakness, since she's water and he's fire, the break effect increases by 30%, which is an awesome 4-piece set effect, which you will be needing in order to specially interrupt Cerberus when he does his freaking meteorite, which follow you around attack, right? So that is definitely the go-to set you want to be choosing from. Obviously, the toughness set with the critical hit rate and crit damage increase is also nice to have for certain scenarios. As for the jewelry set, you want to be choosing the Executioner, because the Executioner set has the 2-piece effect, which when attacking enemies with 40% or less HP, it increases the user's damage dealt by 8%, and the 4-piece set effect changes the HP condition to 70% and the damage increase to 20%. This is the go-to jewelry set you want to be going to. You could also run the Outstanding Connection, which basically when you have 2 pieces, when tagging out increases the attack of you and your team members by 12% for 10 seconds. And the 4-piece increases the attack increase effect to 28% and duration to 15 seconds. So that's also nice to have. Now, in terms of weapons to choose for Seo Jiwoo, the Unparalleled Bravery, her signature weapon, is definitely the go-to weapon because it increases her critical hit damage by 5%, and when the user uses Water Dragon, Rush, Lightning Kick, Heavy Attack, Water Dragon Rush, or Heavy Attack Lightning Kick, it increases the critical hit damage by 1%, stacking up to 20%, stacking up to 20 times. This is the go-to weapon for her, which has the most benefit for her. However, if you're not having this weapon, alternative is, for example, the Steel Longsword, because this one increases the elemental weakness damage by 9%. This will be very useful when fighting someone like Cerberus. The other alternative is the Steel Bow, because this one will increase the user's critical hit damage by 18%. And if we talk in rarity R weapons, then the sword and the bow are the go-to weapons in these specific cases. Now, the best main stats you always want to be trying to push for her, right? So when we look at the stats for her, the main stats you want to be looking for her are HP. For the helmet, definitely always try to get HP as a main stat. For the boots, always try to go for critical hit damage if you can. Bracelets, obviously water damage. And ring, again, HP increase. Since her attack scale of her HP, it's definitely always advisable to go for these stats. Generally, stat focus, right, for the substats should be something like HP, critical hit rate, and critical hit rate damage increase. Those are the 3 stats you want to be focusing as for substats, right? So apart from that, the rest like MP and defense and things like that, those aren't really necessary. Even though she is more or less a tank, the defense skill plays more than a secondary, less than a secondary role in her case. Now, in terms of skill focus, right, you always want to be focusing on her basic skills because the basic skills are her bread and butter because these inflict weak break damage and a weak break damage for the lightning kick and the same thing for the water rush. These are basically the things which will break the shield of your opponent. And they also apply a shield equal to 5% of the user's HP to yourself, right? So that's definitely these two skills you want to be focusing up from the beginning. Next, you definitely want to focus on her support skill because this one also inflicts medium break damage since she has always the role of the breaker in the team, right? That's her first role. Instead of a pure damage dealer, she is designed to be a breaker and she does very, very high break damage like the likes of Emma and some other characters, right? So that's the third one. And her ultimate isn't really too much of a consideration worth because it doesn't really do that much damage and it doesn't add any extra effect to the break effectiveness. However, in my case, I've built it anyways. What you should be building though is the QTE skill because this one deals more elemental damage obviously and also deals weak break damage. And when this skill hits, it inflicts the airborne effect on the opponent. So these are essentially the two basic skills and the two QTE skills, or the support skill and the QTE skills. These are the skills you want to be focusing on. Now, all in all, Seo Jiwoo is definitely in the meantime, she's become one of the must-have characters, especially if you're trying to be a Cerberus in higher tiers, because she just does so well in doing what she does, and that is breaking shield and putting interrupts out there. And she's just awesome. Like literally, alongside, right? If you're looking now at the team compositions for her, right? So the best team compositions or ideal compositions for her would be something like on first spot you want to put Min, and a second spot you want to run Alicia, and a third spot you might want to run Seo Jiwoo. Or you could also run on first spot Nam Chae, second spot you want to be running Alicia, and third spot you want to be running Seo Jiwoo. Now in my case, I've skipped Alicia because I have Cha at A5 and I don't have a need personally for Alicia because Cerberus isn't really of an issue because Alicia is definitely a solid counter to Cerberus. However, if you have any A5 Cha, she will just do fine at tier 10 Cerberus without any problems, right? But those are the two best team compositions. Alternative, you could also run, considering running someone like Ana Ruiz as support, buffer, debuffer, sort of, right? Then on second spot, Alicia. If you don't have her, run on second spot Nam Chae, and at third spot Seo Jiwoo. That's also a very solid water team in that specific case, right? And there is other team compositions, like for example running Min on first, Cha on second, and Seo Jiwoo on third, which is a solid meta team which can be actually universally used on almost any instance, right? And those are our optimal team builds. And with that being said, I'm going to conclude the video. In my case, I will be rating her definitely one of a must-have characters if you want to beat higher tiers of Cerberus. Let me down below in the comments what you think about Seo Jiwoo. Do you have her? How many copies do you have of her? I was fortunate enough to get her up to 2 stars. The 5-star would actually give her the critical hit rate and skill damage effect increase. So that's definitely a huge buff, which maybe if I get more copies of her in future, this will come definitely in handy. Anyways, as always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Take care of yourselves. Until next time.